the word and with information. And just those ones in Webinar Kit, there will be a slightly different experience because they will be able to interact with me there. Okay, so I will probably going to start, and thank you very much for your patience. But tonight is going to be quite interesting because apart from the validation information, engineering qualification validation information that I share in my project, I also like to share information in how to, and that's a very popular series, how to get your first professional job here in Australia. Obviously, validating your qualification as an engineer is very important, but also more important, or as important as getting your qualification validated, is for you to get some tips for you to get your first professional job in Australia. You know, even if you get your qualification validated, but if you don't really know some of the important tips for you to improve your chances to get your first professional job, then it's going to be difficult to keep going in advancing your career. And I've been working as a professional engineer here in Australia since 2008. So it's been more than 11. It's been a while, 13 years working as a professional engineer. And as a professional engineer here, I recruited many dozens of engineers and project managers. And the tips that I'm going to share with you tonight is from the collection of these dozens and dozens of recruitment experiences that I have. I've been chairing recruitment panels for engineers in these 13 years. And I see so many things that people, they don't really do it right. And I think that some of them, if they change few little things in their applications, and not just applications, but in the behavior during the recruitment process, it would be probably much easier. Okay, so what I will do, we'll start now then. So hi everyone, and welcome to another live session from the series How to Get Your First Professional Job in Australia. And in this live session, I will be talking about like a little checklist for 2021, so you can set yourself up for success in getting the first professional job. And also, if you have any question, you can put in the comments. Those ones in Webinar Kit, you can put in the chat, and or you can send me a question as well. But first, for those that don't know me, my name is Gerson Ida, and I'm the founder of www.engineersinaustralia.com, a website to share content of value and useful information to help you in your journey to validate your engineering qualification in Australia. And I also share information about other things related to engineering, for example, workplace health and safety, environmental management, day-to-day of engineering in Australia, and about professional engineering recruitment as well. And the next tip is very important. If you haven't joined the Telegram group yet, you can, I'm going to paste the link in Facebook and YouTube. Those ones in Instagram, the link is in my bio to join my Telegram group. Because what I'm going to do, I'm going to produce a PDF of the content tonight. And if I get some interaction with you tonight, I will be posting this PDF in my Telegram group, Engineering Qualification Validation. So currently we are more than 810 members in this group. It's a free group. You can join in there, and I will be sharing the PDF there. There are a couple of catches. The first catch is that you need to interact with me in my Instagram post that I'm going to do during the live session. And second, this PDF is going to be protected by a password, and I'm going to release the password during the live session. So you got to stay with me. That's the trade-off. I give you free content and you give me interaction. I don't think it's too much for me to ask to you. So those ones in in Facebook and YouTube. I'm going to paste the link now. And those ones in Instagram, you can go to the link in my bio. There is a button there. Once you click the link, there will be a button where you can join the Telegram. You just need to download the app, Telegram app first. And once you download the app, then you can click on the link and then you can join the group. All right, so the first item in your checklist that I think is very important for you to focus to help you to get your first professional job in Australia is for you to invest time in your CV. And as I said again, you don't need to take notes because this PDF is going to be in the Telegram. So you can pay attention, and obviously if you want to take notes, you can take notes, but I will be putting this PDF in my Telegram group. Remember, you just need to interact with me in Instagram very, very soon. So invest time in your CV. A lot of people, those that I saw in many applications that I saw before, they don't actually include a lot of basic information in the CV. A lot of people think that the CV is just a normal document that they can just send to everybody, the same CV, but they don't really spend and invest a lot of time in the CV. And this is a very common mistake that many applicants they make when the basic information will determine whether or not you will be selected for the interview. And sometimes because of the lack of information, it sends a message to the recruitment panel that the candidate is not interested. So, and believe it or not, some of the information or the data that I'm going to share with you looks like very basic, but many people, they don't include. They don't include personal data. They don't include the goals. Why are they applying for that position? Or what do they want to achieve in applying that position? They don't include their skills. They don't include their academic training or schooling. They don't include the languages that they speak and write, obviously. They don't include professional experience. The next one, very common, people don't include the main results obtained. More important than the professional experience is the results that you guys obtained. Also, they don't include the personal or professional profile. People don't include courses that they did, extracurricular activities that they did, and professional references. Professional references, even if you don't want to put in the first stage, you can put to be confirmed. So in case of an interview, and if you are one of the ones to have a professional reference checked, the panel will probably going to ask you during the interview. And also in terms of the CV, another important point is for you to customize your curriculum or customize your CV or resume. And that is another common mistake that applicants, they use the same CV and they use like a template. And they send with the same content to all vacancies that they can imagine that they can apply. So somebody is applying for like 50 positions, they send the same CV to every single position. That's a very big mistake. The CV must be personalized and customized for each vacancy to be contested. This does not mean that you must make up experiences or invent experiences and skills to align with the vacancy offered. What does this mean? Customize your CV. This means that you must emphasize the specific experiences you have had and include in the body of your CV that addresses the skills or selection criteria required by the company. For example, some time ago, I've applied for a position. And this position was focused on strategic things in relation to structures, for example. And I've had a lot of experience in this 20-something years of graduated that I have already. So my CV was focused on strategic things and structure things, because the position that I was applying for was for like a strategic level position, looking after some structures, systems or network. So that's what I did. I didn't really put many different things that were not related to strategic and structures network. So, but I see in the many applications that I analyzed already that people applying for construction of roads, and basically they don't really emphasize construction of roads, and they just put that they're civil engineers, that they did residential, commercial, perhaps they had some road experience, but they didn't really include. So very big mistake. Another important point in your CV, when you have to invest time in your CV, is to provide evidences of the achieved results. You got to remember that companies are looking for professionals who will bring positive results to projects, services, clients, and highlighting the results achieved is a critical part of the CV structure, especially in the engineering area, where usually you have key performance indicators, KPIs, and those KPIs usually they are monitored and expected to be achieved. In engineering vacancies, it is interesting to divide it into results obtained in the specific area of the vacancy to be applied for, and results obtained in other correlated areas such as management, business, strategy, and other technical areas. So very interesting and very important for you to include evidences of the results obtained, real, practical, and real examples. Another very important tip when you thinking about your CV is to don't leave until the last minute to write up your CV. Your CV should be written with a lot of planning and research. You need to take time to research the company that you are applying for, the industry in which the job is inserted in, and if you can, please talk to the recruiter about the job and clarify any questions. Don't be shy, and ring the recruiter or the agency and ask questions about the job. You can then tailor and you can customize your CV even more. And this time that you spend will serve as the basis for customizing your CV, and will make the recruitment panel members, you're probably going to make them more interested in your application, and they're probably going to be more impressed by the quality of the information contained in your CV. And remember that they will be reviewing dozens of resumes and selecting those ones with an extra thing. It's certainly going to be noticed. And how do you do this sort of research? Obviously, you can go to Facebook, you can go to LinkedIn, obviously in the company's website. You can then research about the projects that the companies they are delivering or running, the services that they offer, and then you can include in your CV your experiences that can add value to the project or to the mission of the company. The last position that we recruited for a resource manager. Quite a very good position. Salary is about $120,000 a year. And the first question that we asked to the candidates when they came to the interview was for them to tell us what they knew about our company. We interviewed 4 people. 2 of them, they knew very well our company. They went to our website and researched about the company, and they had good information. Others, the other 2, one tried to kind of tell a few things without really researching about our company, and the other one, she was very open and honest, saying that she didn't know much about the company, and she didn't even research about our company. So nowadays people can ask those questions, so just make sure that you know about the company, and then you can include those information when you are preparing your CV. The other question is the other item in the checklist is about cover letter. So you got to remember that the cover letter is very, very important document when you are hunting for a professional job. So the importance of a cover letter. In most job opportunities, there is a role description or job description where there is a brief explanation about the company. Sometimes the advertisement identifies the company, sometimes it doesn't. So when you go to seek.com.au or indeed.com.au, for example, and then when you find a position that you want to apply for, usually towards the bottom, there is like a Word document called job description, role description, where it talks about the company, it talks about the area or some of the projects, and then talks about the role that they are recruiting, and also they include the selection criteria or the key competencies. So certainly very important for you to ensure that you read that job description very, very carefully. And why is this important to understand the job description or role description? Because then usually in that job description, they talk about what do you need to include in your application. And usually is the cover letter and your CV. The cover letter sometimes is maximum of 2 pages. CVs could be 3 pages or 4 pages, 5 pages, depending on the company. And the cover letter, usually they say that you need to address the key competencies or the selection criteria, which means that if you don't read the job description, you're probably not going to write a very good cover letter. Why is that? Because then you don't know that you need to address the selection criteria. You're probably going to write whatever or just use a general template in your cover letter. If you read carefully the job description, and let's say that you've got 5 or 6 selection criteria in your cover letter, then you will be addressing every single of those 5 or 6 competencies or selection criteria, giving real examples and giving evidences that you actually achieved those competencies. And that's when majority of the companies, they look at the cover letter, that you actually addressed the selection criteria and you have demonstrated that you achieved those results, which this will increase your chances to get selected to an interview. So the cover letter allows you to focus on the position and the employer in a very specific way, leaving the CV to sell the skills, qualities, experiences as part of like an overview impression. In a good cover letter, sorry. In a good cover letter should not only repeat your resume, but also tell the employer why you are interested in the job vacancy. Why do you think you will add value to the company? And how you can demonstrate the selection criteria. You got to remember that companies, when they are advertising for positions, they will get many applications. They can get 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. We often get 60 to 70 applications every time that we advertise for a project manager or for an engineer. And when the recruitment panel has this high number of applications, what happens is that for the panel, we will see who is addressing the competencies and who is not addressing the competencies. Those ones that are not addressing competencies, they automatically pretty much excluded from the process. And those ones that are addressing the competencies, will be the ones that the panel will look with more detail and more attention. So in my opinion, and that's just my opinion, the cover letter is a document more important than the CV. And many and many of you guys, job seekers, you will invest a lot in your CV or resume, and you may not pay a lot of attention to the cover letter. It's a very serious and almost, I can say, a fatal mistake in your job search journey. If your cover letter is the one that's standard, hi, my name is Gerson Ida. I'm a very passionate civil engineer looking for a graduate position, whatever, etc. And I've got qualities about this, and that. And I look forward to be inviting to explore further my competencies in a professional interview. With regards, Gerson Ida. This is a very common type of cover letter that we receive where, you know, for us, it seems to be that it's just a generic cover letter that you're just introducing yourself and not talking anything about the selection criteria that we included in the job advertisement, which tells us that you didn't bother to read the position description. And obviously, because you didn't read, you didn't really know that you had to address the 5 or 6 selection criteria. So if you didn't bother to read the job description, why should we, the panel, bother to read your application? So it's kind of even a disrespect to the panel members. Panel members, usually they are very busy people that they putting aside time to analyze job applications. So we will value those ones that they really invest time and effort to do a good job application. So if your cover letter is lacking details, if your cover letter is not addressing the selection criteria, 99% means that you're not going to advance to a professional interview. So that's certainly a very important tip. And as the cover letter, as the CV, you need to customize your cover letter. So make sure that you address the selection criteria, you give specific examples demonstrating that you have done the things that they're asking in the selection criteria or key competencies. Doing this, you will be customizing your cover letter. It's very easy for us in the panel to know when a cover letter is very generic, because obviously one doesn't address the selection criteria, and two, it talks about just generic things, doesn't really giving a specific example. You got to remember that companies, they are recruiting on a merit basis. And what does merit mean? Well, merit means that you have the relevant skills, attitude, competencies, qualifications, knowledge, experience, and personal qualities to perform the tasks in question. And you got to remember, as I mentioned before, the key competencies, the selection criteria, sometimes they have other names like a merit criteria, candidate profile, the successful candidate will, is this role for you, key attributes, capabilities, core capabilities. So every time that they ask some of those things, those are the things that you need to concentrate and focus on. And then when you address those key competencies, you got to be really, really very, very specific. For example, I'm going to give you an example. If a key competency is about engineering knowledge, so that's a very common competency that companies, they usually include in the job description. One of the selection criteria could be engineering knowledge. In this case, the candidate should give an example of what was the engineering problem faced, what was the problem-solving methodology that you guys used, what were the strengths and weaknesses of each of the options that you came up with, which option then was chosen and why, what were the results achieved, and finally, what was your role for this result. So describing that engineering knowledge. So got to be very specific. Often you got to use an example. You say, I can demonstrate that competency when I delivered a particular project, and then you name that project or activity, and then you start talking about these things that I just mentioned. All right, so I'm going to show you how the PDF is taking shape. So that's how the PDF that I'm going to post in my Telegram group is going to be. It's a checklist for 2021, setting yourself up for success in, I'm just going to check that you guys, yes. Success in getting the first professional job in Australia. And as I mentioned before, I will post the PDF document in the Telegram group. And what I'm going to do, as I was telling you before, I am going to take a picture of this, and I'm going to post in my Telegram, my Instagram. And then what I would like you to do is to like the photo and make a comment in that post. And if I have likes and comments in the post, I will then create the PDF and I'm going to post in my Telegram. So I'm going to put as one of the comments, I'm going to ask here, what is your strategy to get your first professional job in Australia? Question mark. Please write in the comments your answer. Okay, share. Yeah, that's going. Yeah, that's it. So you will see that I just made a post in my Instagram account at Gerson Ida. So what you need to do is to now or after the live session, just need to go to my Instagram and like the post and answer that question in the comments. And if I have likes and answers there, I will prepare this PDF and I'm going to post in my Telegram group. And the first half of the password is going to have two halves. The first half is professional. So just the word all in small letters. Professional is the first half of the PDF password. So the PDF will be protected in the Telegram. Obviously, I'm making this so you guys can stay with me in this live session, and so you stay until the end. So the first half is professional, and towards the end, I'm going to say release the second half of the password. And the PDF is going to be like that. The information that I spoke about, the CV, it's all here. Customize your curriculum, provide evidences that achieve the results. Don't leave until the last minute to write up your CV. Information about the cover letter, the importance of the cover letter. The cover letter is document more important than the CV, customization of your cover letter. So all the information is going to be in this PDF. And obviously, if you don't follow me yet, please consider following my profile and share my profile with other engineers that perhaps would benefit with this information. As you know, I do these live sessions every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. Just today I'm doing on Monday because it's a public holiday. But usually I do these live sessions every Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time, where I talk about a subject related to the engineering qualification validation, other subjects about engineering, and also about hints and tips for you to get your first professional job here in Australia. The other item in your checklist for 2021 to help you to get your first professional job is the difference between job search and job research. So it's a very important difference that you need to understand, because a lot of people, they do job search when in fact you currently need to do job research. So some of the job search characteristics. One is the old school job search. It's based on the past and looking for similar jobs. And as I saw many times, people send lots and lots of resumes like a machine gun. I even spoke with somebody that he hired a company, and the company sent like 500 resumes. And he said, "No, Jersey, I paid a lot of money to this company, and the company told me that they sent about 500 resumes, and I didn't even get any phone calls." Well, no surprise, because if a company is sending 500 resumes like a machine gun, it's probably sending to positions and that were not relevant, or if they were relevant, the documents were themselves were not relevant because they were just generic. And resumes and cover letters are pretty much the same, generic document, as I mentioned before. And usually when you're doing just job search, you don't spend time to prepare your documents. And then on the other hand, the job research characteristics, they are that you explore your personal brand. You got to remember, at the end of the day, what you're doing when you are doing a job hunting, you are selling yourself. You are selling, if I am applying for a job, I'm selling my professional image. Gerson Ida, the civil engineer, specialist in this and that. Job research, another characteristic. Think that you're selling yourself as a professional, and you gotta look professional. You gotta transpire that you are professional. And if you do all of those things in your resume, in your CV, they will transpire that you would like to work with the company, and they will want to work with you, and they will notice that you can bring value to the company. So that's very important. You're not just there to work for the company. You are there to bring value to the company. You're going to add value to the company. Job research, the documents are strategically tailored to the position that you are applying for. So every position that you are going to apply for, you will be customizing your CV and you will be customizing your cover letter. And the recruitment panel will notice that you spend and invest time in tailoring your documents. The job research characteristic, one CV is different to the other CV, as positions are usually different. Even if you are applying for the same sort of a position, let's say like a graduate engineer, but the industry could be a little bit different. The projects that the companies are working on, they could be different. The section or area that you'll be working as a graduate engineer could be different, which means that the CV and the cover letter, they need to be different. And job research, you invest time to prepare your documents by researching about the company. You will research what the company is doing, what sort of industry, what sort of projects that they're working on. And sometimes when you talk to agency or the recruitment agency, if you are selected to an interview, sometimes they even disclose the name of the panel members, and then you can research about the panel members. You can see some characteristics and some interests. So when you are going to the interview, you can kind of get a better rapport with them. So please understand very well what's the difference between job search and job research. Okay, I'm just going to check if is there any question in the webinar there. No question there. I'm going to check questions in Facebook and YouTube. No questions there. No questions on Instagram as well. No. Okay, so I'll keep going. And for those ones that they missed out the free engineering qualification workshop that I held like 3 weeks ago, if you want to participate in the next one, you can go to my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com, and then you can register yourself to the next free online workshop that's going to happen in June. Not sure if it's going to be, I thought that I was going to do on the 6th, or probably starting on the 6th of June. So if you haven't participated, or if you missed some of the videos, you can participate again in June for the next event. So just go to my website, and then I'm actually going to show you, I think it's here, how you can do that. So when you go to my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com, you just need to then click on this button, click here to register in the next free workshop. And once you click on this button, it will open up a registration page where you can just you just need to put your email address, your name, and tick some of the applies. Why I'm asking, I'm a Brazilian living in Brazil, living in Australia, living elsewhere, because when you get my emails, I then will be sending you emails either in Portuguese. Even if you say that you live in Brazil, I'm going to send emails in Portuguese, and the times and dates are going to be related to Brasilia time, not Brisbane time. So that's why I'm asking, if you say that you're Brazilian but living in Australia, you will get a Portuguese email with the times as Brisbane time. Unfortunately, I've got a lot of people that they live in Colombia, for example. When they say that they live elsewhere, then you will get an email in English with the Brisbane time. You just need then to convert the time. So very simple registration, and then you will get the notifications when it gets closer. Okay, so next item in the checklist is going to be for you to be job ready. So how do you get job ready? Obviously, now with COVID situation and the borders are closed, unfortunately, people that are not in Australia, is going to be very difficult for you to come to Australia now until the borders are open. But it's not the end of the world. What happens is that you can prepare yourself and plan yourself to get job ready, to be job ready. And what does it mean? One is for you to increase your networking. So take this time and prepare yourself to be more visible. Get to know more people. Networking is vital for you to get noticed. Get to know who is who in the zoo. That's an expression that we use here in Australia, or in English. You elevate your profile and you make new connections. Very important to help you to get your first professional job. And how do we do this? How can we increase networking? Let's say people that are not in Australia. If you are in Brazil, if you are in Colombia, if you are in India, if you are in Pakistan, how can you increase your networking if you are not here? Well, there are several organizations, even Engineers Australia, they still doing online webinars. And although it's more difficult to make connections with a webinar, but you can ask questions. You can ask questions in those webinars. You can then get to know people. They leave their email addresses, especially the presenters. If you have questions, they ask that you can send them emails, etc. At least you know somebody that is in the industry and you can start talking with them. Send them an email saying, you know, my name is Jerson, I live in Brazil, and I'm an engineer like this and that, etc. I would like to know, I've got this expertise, etc., etc. I'm planning to go to Australia. Is there any other networking, connections that I can do? So there's often other types of networking. The Australian Institute of Project Management, the Australian Institute of Management. There are peak bodies of specific industries like mining industries or mechanical industries. So you can ask questions. But if you are here in Australia, how then it can be a little bit easier, because some of the COVID-19 restrictions, they started to be eased, which means that a lot of the organizations, they resumed to do face-to-face gatherings. So they are doing workshops face-to-face as well as online. And then if you go to a face-to-face workshop, usually there are obviously before and after opportunities to network. And that's when you will be then chatting with other professionals. You'll be chatting with people that perhaps can give you an opportunity to apply for a job, etc. Another hint, if you're part of my Telegram group, I usually put in my Telegram group when I know if there's going to be a CPD event or a workshop or a webinar, which is free. Usually put in my Telegram group. When there is some job opportunities, I put in my Telegram group as well. So when you are part of groups that are focused on sharing information and helping each other, obviously then it helps for you to be job ready. Another important point for you to be job ready, especially in times where competition is really high. And when do I mean about competition being really high? It means that unfortunately there are a lot of engineers in the market. And the more engineers are in the market, obviously more competitive will be for you to get your first professional job. Which means that validating your engineering qualification can become a point of difference. Imagine, put yourself in the shoes of a panel member or the panel members in a recruitment panel. If you advertising a position and then you get about 50, let's say you get 50 applications, if half of them, they are validated engineers, and the other half, they are not validated, you still get 25 engineers that are validated. And usually for professional interviews, you will select or shortlist about 3, 4, maybe 5 engineers, which means that out of 25 candidates that are already validated, it's going to be slightly easier to get 3 to 5 engineers that you can shortlist to be interviewed. So why would a panel interview, for example, somebody that's not validated yet, if the panel has options another 25 options of people that already been validated. So even though in some places in Australia, it's not mandatory for you to be validated to get a job as an engineer, but companies, they probably going to use that as a selection criteria as well. We, in our company, we certainly do. Those ones that are not validated, we don't even bother to look too much. We don't really spend a lot of time looking at those applications, because usually we get the last engineer position that we advertise, we got 70 applications. And out of the 70 applications, 70 applications, there were many engineers that were already stage 2 in Engineers Australia. They were chartered professional engineers, which means that they're not just validated, but also they achieved the second stage, which is the chartered professional engineer, like myself. So what happens with those ones that were not even validated? We didn't spend time, because it's kind of a waste of time of us to look at those applications, because we shortlisted about, I think it was 5 or 6, and we had plenty of options amongst those ones that were already validated. So, in majority of the reputable companies, they will ask you if you have your engineering qualification validated already, which demonstrates that you have been assessed by Engineers Australia and your qualification overseas is equivalent to an Australian qualification. Also, you got to remember that Australia is very high in litigation cases, in court cases. And companies, they know that if they employ somebody that can stuff up and, for example, not validated and do a big mistake in the engineering field, they can end up in a very expensive court case. So part of the risk mitigation is for those companies to get people that are especially chartered professional engineers, or especially in the graduate area. It's going to be difficult to get a chartered professional engineer as a graduate, but as a graduate, they're probably going to ask those graduates to be validated. And remember, you're not just competing against overseas qualified engineers. As a graduate engineer, you will be competing with engineers that were graduated here in Australia, which means that, one, they don't need to validate because they've graduated already here in Australia in a course that's recognized by Engineers Australia. So they don't need validation. They already validated. So the competition for graduate positions is going to be much harder. So just checking my notes here. So make sure that you understand in what is the rule in each state as well. If you are here in Queensland, or if you want to come to Queensland, you got to remember that Queensland has the Professional Engineers Act 2002, where this legislation requires you to be a registered professional engineer of Queensland for you to provide professional engineering services. And if you are not RPEQ, a registered professional engineer of Queensland, I am since 2009, you cannot work unsupervised unless you are following a prescriptive standard. So if you are not a registered professional engineer of Queensland, and if you are providing professional engineering services without being registered, you're actually incurring in criminal offense, and you can be prosecuted and go to jail or pay big fines. So make sure that if you're not RPEQ in Queensland, and if you are providing professional engineering services, that you are directly supervised. Other states like New South Wales and Victoria, they will start from 1 July this year. They're going to start the registration processes. So there will be a transition time, I think, for a couple of years or a few years until engineers can be registered. But obviously, if you are in Sydney and Melbourne, they will start asking for registration as well. I think I got a question here in Instagram from Diane. Hi, Jerson. How can I enter in your Telegram group? Yeah, thanks, Diane, for the question. I saw that you just joined. You can enter in my Telegram group. If you go to you need to download the app first. So just download the Telegram app. And once you download the Telegram app, you can go to the link in my bio. And I'm just going to check if what I'm saying is okay, because I think, yes. So once you click in the link in my bio, it will open up a little box, and there will be a few buttons. And the fourth button from the top down is the button for you to join my Telegram group. So you just need to download the app first, and then once you download the app, you go to the link in my bio, and then you click on the link. It will open up a few buttons, and the button I think I can show you. No, I can't. But the fourth button is for you to join my Telegram group. And don't forget to follow my profile, please. And don't forget to like and comment. If you just like the last picture that I did in my Instagram, is not going to be enough for me to do the PDF. You need to like and comment. I'm going to show you how the PDF is taking shape. So that's how the PDF is taking shape now, with the information about the cover letter, merit basis, and information about job search and job research, and also now the information about job ready, and information about the validation, etc. So I shouldn't really say, but I will repeat the first half of the password of this PDF that's going to be in Telegram. If you guys interact in my Instagram post, it's going to be professional. And I probably going to say the second half, and the second half is going to be after this last dot point. Okay, so part of the job ready is certainly to be validated. It's very, very important. Please make sure that you download the Engineers Australia booklet, Migration Skills Assessment. You read it very, very carefully and read it very well. A lot of people, they make a lot of mistakes because you don't really read very carefully the booklet. The other topic in the checklist that it's important for you to get your first professional job is to pay attention to what type of jobs you should be applying for. Majority of people will be applying for a professional job while on an international student visa. I did when I came as an international student. I was applying for many, many professional jobs. And I wasn't really getting any phone calls because at that time I didn't know how to do it, and I was doing probably things not very correctly. And applying for full-time positions when I was on a student visa, which allowed me just to work 20 hours a week. So, and also I was applying for high-level positions because in Brazil, when I left, I was in a very high position. So I had to downgrade my initial level, few levels, and also I started to apply for part-time positions. Because if you can just work 20 hours a week, it's important for you to align with the part-time positions. Yeah, I know it's not very common to have part-time positions, but with working from home after COVID, there's a lot of companies that they are actually now advertising for part-time positions, because some of their full-time position employees or engineers, they are now working part-time, and the companies, they still need a full-time role. So some of them, they are actually advertising for part-time positions. Another important thing is for you to search for temporary positions. Sometimes you look for permanent full-time positions, when in fact you should be searching for temporary and part-time. Why is that? Because your student visa is a temporary visa, and part-time because you can just work 20 hours a week. And I say that because when a company is advertising for a position, and if the company is engaging a recruitment agency for the process, I can tell you that the company is paying about $25,000 to the recruitment agency to look after that recruitment process, to manage the interviews and shortlisting, and etc., etc., etc. $25,000. Well, depends. Could be between $15,000 and $25,000. Still a lot of money if the company is paying $15,000 to a recruitment agency to look after of a recruitment process. Which means that if they are recruiting for a permanent full-time position, they're not going to waste time trying to recruit or shortlist somebody that cannot work full-time, that cannot work on a permanent basis. So if they see that you are a student visa, you are on a student visa, they're not going to shortlist you probably, because they know that if they're going to invest $15,000 to recruit somebody, they want somebody that can work permanently and on a full-time basis as well. So if you are applying for a temporary position, and a lot of companies, they are advertising for temporary positions for like a temporary project, and as a student visa, you can work as a temporary. So that's another hint that you could be applying for temporary positions. There's another question here in Instagram about from, I think, Maria. Yes, sir. Don't need to call me sir. Is industrial engineering included for engineering Australia qualification validation? Yes, it is actually. I can. When you apply for industrial engineer, it's on page 50 of the, page 49 of in the booklet. Industrial engineer is actually code 233511. So that's actually part of the booklet. Industrial engineer is part of the engineering qualification. That's for sure. And also in terms of positions that you could be searching for, we're almost finishing, guys. The positions that you could be searched for, it could be, even if you are an engineer, but a lot of engineers, they apply for entry positions like draftsperson, assistant engineer, assistant project manager, project costing officer, project management officer, estimator, procurement officer, quality representative, even if you want to work as a receptionist in an engineering company, so you at least get to know the company, or contract officer. And some of the engineers, they even work as labor positions like construction worker or plant operator. Obviously, if you have the ticket to operate a roller, if you can operate an excavator or something like that, and general labor as well. At least you get to know people in the industry. You start in a company, and then from there you can start your network. People get to know that you are an engineer, and if there is any vacancy, then you can apply for those positions there. All right, I'm going to give you the second half of the password. The second half of the password is engineer. So professional engineer, all in small caps, and it's going to be the password of this PDF that I'm going to release in my Telegram group. If I have enough likes and comments in my last Instagram post. So I'm going to wait until probably tomorrow morning and going to check if how many likes and comments I got in there. And please follow my profile if you're not following yet. And I will then create a PDF. The PDF is like this. Okay, Debs, you sent a question in the webinar. All right, I'll have a look here. I think I get my the questions in the email. Yes, I actually got 3 questions there. Sorry, guys. Just opening here. So see if I can find your question, Deb. Where is that? I think that's this one. Yes, I got your question, Deb. Hi, how can I know which career I should validate my diploma, electrical engineer degree, but my job experience is in the energy section, but is more engineer manager than electrical regulatory area? Can I validate my diploma in both for visa and job purpose? Yeah, that's a very good question, Deborah. You're electrical engineer, but you worked in the more like an engineer manager in the energy section. Well, when you're trying to validate your qualification, you need to understand what are you going to write in your career episode. You got to remember that you will have your degree, your bachelor degree, and then you got to have to write the 3 career episodes where you will then address the 16 competencies required by Engineers Australia. And you also got to have evidences from your employers or former employers stating that you actually did those things. So if you are going to validate as a professional engineer, electrical engineer, for example, you will need to go to ANZ SEO occupation definition and then pay attention to what they say, what is the occupation for electrical engineer, and then your experience in your career episodes and your competencies, you need to address what is written in the occupation definition from ANZ SEO occupation definition for electrical engineer. If you did a lot of managerial activities as an engineering manager, you got to be careful, because if you describe majority of your experiences as a manager, it's probably going to be unlikely that Engineers Australia will validate you as an engineer. Engineering manager is a special category which is not under the engineer category, is under the manager category. So you could be applying to validate as an engineering manager and then apply for your permanent visa. You got to talk to your migration agent about that. But if you validate as an engineering manager, you can then apply exclusively for migration. But being approved or being validated as an engineering manager doesn't give you eligibility to become a member of Engineers Australia, because engineering manager is not really an engineer. It's a manager. So it doesn't really fall within Engineers Australia. But if you want to validate as an electrical engineer, and if your work experience doesn't really help in the validation process, you can always go back to your academic experience when you were studying electrical engineering, and then use your academic engineering experience as part of your career episodes. So I've got many students of my mentoring program, for example, that they had a lot of work experience, but the work experience wasn't really very good to be used in the validation process, and they had to go back to the academic engineering experience, and then they used the engineering experience in the university, and they ended up validating their qualification using the university experience. So I hope that I could help you with that. There's another question there from the webinar from Shoaib. Please guide and support me how to come and get in Australia. Well, I can probably help you to validate your engineering qualification, but to come to Australia, obviously you need a visa, and you will need to talk with a migration agent to discuss opportunities and options for you to get your visa. Obviously, if you get your validation, it will open up many options in terms of visa. But then to come to Australia, one, the border needs to open, and two, you got to have a visa. But if you don't know much about the process, you can then register to you can register to the free workshop that's going to happen in June. And then I say, just going to check here, and then you can learn about how you need to do and what you need to do to validate your engineering qualification here in Australia. So I'm actually, where is that now? Yeah, just trying to get the website here. I think it's this one there. Yeah, that's one. So you just need to go to my website, www.engineersinaustralia.com /free-workshop, and then you will be able to register for the next free online workshop. So yeah, the address is just going to be showing now on the screen in the lettering down there, and you'll be able to register to the next free workshop, which is going to be starting on 6th of June. All right, I'm just going to check if I've got any other question before I finish for tonight. I would like to certainly thank you guys very much. I would like to thank you guys very much for the participation. I just trying to check if I can, how can I put, I had prepared a poll, but I don't know how to do it. I think I had to put a time in the webinar. Anyway, I'll do next week. So just going to check questions in Facebook and Instagram there. There's a question from Jasper in YouTube. Hi, Jasper. Well, first, thanks very much, Jasper, for all your questions there. Gerson, I got a question. In the CV needs to be fancy, done by Canva, or just a simple Microsoft Word only? Yeah, that's a good question, Jasper. And my CV I've done in Canva. Canva is like a platform that you can kind of create images, etc., etc., etc. And there's lots of models and templates in Canva of CVs. So I've done mine in Canva. Does it help to get more attention? I think it does. Doesn't need to be too fancy, but if it is slightly different, it will certainly catch a little bit more attention. But that attention is just going to last at probably half a second. So you got to make sure that if somebody has a very nice CV, and if you got that half a second of the person looking at your CV, the information in your CV needs to be really catchy. So your profile, your the skills that you have, the results that you got. So you will see, Jasper, you will see that in my, as part of the bonus, you got the bonus of the 7 tips for the CV and the 7 tips for the cover letter. You will see in those ebooks that there are hints for you to prepare your CV and your cover letter. So it's all in the bonus and the downloads area in the validation formula portal. So that's for you that you are my student. Those that are my student, they've got my free bonus, which are the 3 ebooks about CV, the cover letter, and the professional interview. All right, so those are some of the important points I think it should be in your checklist for 2021 to improve your chances to get your first professional job here in Australia. And I would like to thank you very much for your participation tonight. And I look forward to seeing you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. I haven't decided yet what sort of subject I'm going to talk next week, but please pay attention in your email. Pay attention in my Instagram and Facebook, because I'm going to be posting there, and also in the Telegram, and what's going to be the subject for the next live session. So thank you very much, guys, and I'll see you next Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Brisbane time. Thank you, and bye-bye.